Welcome everybody to the Untold History Channel. Ron Partain, and I'm here with Elisa V,
Hello.
executive producer of the Dear Mr. President documentary, and we've been having a spirited discussion. We lost track of time. A spirited discussion on 9/11 and whether or not there were actually planes or holograms or all that stuff. She's in the hologram category, and I am not. So we're kind of going back and forth and trying to, if I don't mean to say it like that, I'm going to say it, but dick measure. you know, so it's like I know this and I know, but
Well, I
but
never claim to know anything. Like I'm not. I don't know. I don't know that anybody except whoever really knows. But we're having a spirited debate over, based on just the information, that we have, that we've researched, that we look at, and then the personal conclusion that we come to, and I think what we just can all agree on is that this was not. This was not what we were told it was in many ways. And, anybody who tried to say that from the beginning, got a lot of flack. And now 20, almost, 20, a couple of days, it'll be 24 years since that day.
crazy.
Oh my God. Right. I mean, I remember the first anniversary that year, it was like, wow, it was a year since this happened. And now it's almost a quarter of a century from when it happened. Yeah. It's nuts. I was in the city the day before downtown, and, then that morning was what it was. And the thing that really stands out, just like a personal story, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in your audience that are from, New York, the New York area. I'm on Long Island, so I'm about 35, 40 minutes from Manhattan.
And we don't hold that against you.
And thank you. And so the thing that stands out is when they shut down all flights, they cleared the air.
For 7 days.
Yes, but that night, because nobody knew what happened. We were all in shock. We were traumatized. We couldn't believe. I was glued to the TV, and there were two things that night. The first thing was when I was watching the news, which I still did in those days. I was watching the news, and they showed all the countries that were kind of honoring us, and I just remember crying, just crying hysterical when I think it was Great Britain played our national anthem, because there were so many people from my particular neighborhood and the neighborhood nearby that people just weren't coming home, already.
Did you know anybody that?
Yeah, two people.
Wow.
Yeah. So these people didn't come home, and I remember going to sleep that night, and it was so quiet and it was so freaky. However, you heard fighter jets, because right off the shore over here we had we had them patrolling or whatever, the ships that were alongside, and the flight, and they're so loud.
The aircraft carriers.
The aircraft carriers,
and they were flying F-18s, yeah.
Yes, and it was just eerie. That's the only way I could say it. And then plus, at that time, we were just so traumatized by all of what just happened a few hours literally before that we didn't know what was going on, like Osama bin Laden, and it's Al Qaeda, and it's this, and it was like, it just was like a night, a scary nightmare, because you're still processing all of this stuff. And I remember, I think it was 2 or 3, maybe 2 days later, because that was a Tuesday. I think it was like a Thursday, maybe a Friday, something like that. I had to drive a little further west, and the smell was so disgusting. I'll never I can't.
What,
burning?
It was burning. Okay.
It was horrible. The smoke, and that was like, that was already like in Western Nassau County, that, which is right past Queens. But I could sit here all day and just tell the stories. I mean, just friends that literally walked home from Lower Manhattan. They walked all the way home to Long Island, like bleeding feet, shoes falling apart, because the adrenaline was so strong that it just kept them moving. And then, of course, there were the two people that, that I knew that never came home.
And
And
and at that point, telecommunication system was overloaded. You couldn't get you very likely couldn't get a call through. And there weren't really cell phones back then. There were, but they were really expensive. It ain't like it's so funny because people, a lot of the kids, they just think that cell phones are just normal, right? They have no idea what it was like when, I remember when we had a dial phone, not like a push button phone, but like a
me
dial
too.
phone. That was a long time ago.
I mean, I had a cell phone in, I guess 1997, 98. I got it pretty early. So by but still you had no service. A lot of the service was out. And the person that I knew was actually a neighbor of my sister's, and she actually got a call from her husband, and and she knew, because he basically said, "I don't think we're getting out of here." And that was pretty awful. Just that was the last time she spoke to him. And there's just so many stories. I mean, that's just one of so many of these personal tragedies that happen. But it's hard to believe that here we are 24 years later, right?
I mean, I was freaking out when it was like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Because we're coming up on next year. It'll be 25 years.
I know.
And you know what? Maybe the 25th anniversary is the year that we're gonna get some answers. I hope.
I hope so too. I mean,
this is funny. This is. I remember party lines.
Yeah.
876 was it 876 or 976 or something like that. Yeah, I remember the party lines. Party lines were basically Twitter Spaces before Twitter Spaces.
Yes. Absolutely.
And yes, I remember. I never called into the party lines because they were expensive. It was like 30 cents a minute or something like that. I mean, it was like back then it was like you couldn't call long distance because long distance was
long distance.
Yeah,
I remember my mom. We lived in Queens. My mom's aunt lived in Suffolk. It was like so far, and she would be on the phone, and my father would get the phone bill and he'd be freaking out. Like, these are toll calls. How could you spend an hour on the phone? Like, it was so different. Now we have cell phones. It's like you can call anywhere in the world. You have unlimited plans. It's so I wanted to say hi to Carol Maureen. She has been my partner in crime as co-producer of Dear Mr. President, the documentary.
Carol.
Which is coming out. We're going to be live streaming that tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Did you want to show the because I have them like primed.
Yeah, would love to show the trailer.
Yeah, which the 2-minute one or the 4 minute and 51 minute one or 4 minutes?
There's one that is, I think it's 2 minutes. It's the one that doesn't say the podcasters. That's the second one we can show.
I think that's the one that's ironically it's got me in it. So
yes, I think you're in both, Ron.
Oh, I'm such a star. All right, let's see here. We'll watch the first one.
Dear Mr. President.
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 Dear Mr. President, when did freedom of speech become a crime? In the land of the free, voices are vanishing, opinions are policed, truth is under fire. They say it's about safety, I say it's about silence. Who's watching the watchmen? Who's filtering your feed? Who benefits from your silence? From the classroom to the newsroom, from Silicon Valley to Washington, D.C., who decides what you can say?
Censorship.
Censorship. Censorship.
The censorship.
Censorship. It's a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years.
Our First Amendment is under assault, not just by big tech, but by government agencies. Voices are being silenced.
A world without censorship would mean we can freely expose the elections and, of course, child trafficking. I believe the American spirit would kick in if they had access to the real information.
We've had channels taken down from nearly every form of social media. We knew when you uttered the term fake news that you were up to something different. We're honored to contribute to this documentary on censorship.
I have only one thing to ask. I just only want to see some accountability from somebody. Just pull that pin and throw that grenade already, buddy. That's all every American wants to see, is just some accountability for the crimes against us all. Thank you, sir. And long live the Republic.
Well, at least he got it right. JD Vance couldn't get it right. I swear to God, I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing, an internal thing for me. But whenever I hear somebody say democracy, I literally want to come unglued.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been kind of like drilled in, it's all part of the programming, and and so technically, if you think about it, we're all Republicans, right? Because we're part of a republic. So
You know what? Okay, so I don't remember if I told this, if I mentioned this to you, but what do they call China?
a republic, the People's Republic.
What do they call North Korea?
That's also a republic.
What do they call Vietnam?
Republic.
Okay, so when those people come here, what do they say? Say, well, you don't want to vote like a Republican.
Yeah.
You want to vote like a Democrat
Right.
because it's democracy.
Yeah.
And that is a total like sleight of hand that they have played to very, very good effect. And another interesting thing, what is the color of communism?
Red.
Red.
Yeah.
What was the Republican Party? What did the Republican Party used to be? What was their color?
Red.
No.
It wasn't?
Do you remember the term true blue Republican or blue dog Democrat?
Oh yeah. So they shifted it.
They switched the colors.
Interesting.
They switched the colors. It used to be a true blue Republican, and if you were a blue dog Democrat, that meant that you were you were a Democrat, but you had conservative leanings.
Okay. I mean, there's so many things they've done. Listen, we could be here for the next, year nonstop because of how they have tried to brainwash, invert, do all these things. And at the end of the day, aside from getting us to live in a low vibration of fear so that we could be controlled, it's also pitted us against each other, and then we're all fighting each other and not looking at who's really the perpetrator. It's brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant. But hopefully we're starting to, people are waking up. People are seeing through that. We're realizing that it doesn't matter what we believe, what we look like, we're all the same and we should be united.
I agree.
That doesn't mean we don't have different views and we don't have unique ways of looking at things, but we're not each other's enemies, and that's been something that we've all fallen prey to throughout the years, whether it's men against women, straight against gay, black against white, whatever it is, there's always got to be some enemy that that's the problem, as opposed to who's behind the curtain. So
I'm trying to find. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I just want to say a few things about, if you don't mind, about the documentary.
Go right ahead.
This has been 6 months in production, lots of editing. We have 45 podcasters that are part of this project. Everybody has brought some amazing perspectives and value to this. And tomorrow, this is going to go live on hopefully, most of these, or if not all of the 45 podcasters that are featured in the documentary, but of course, on Mel's channel as well, which for everybody listening, there's a lot of platforms that are going to be showing this. I mean, Mel's is XRP QFS team, which is on Rumble. It'll be, I think Ron, you're going to be streaming it on.
I'm gonna stream it a little. I'm gonna stream it part of the day because I've got a couple shows that I'm doing, so I won't be showing it all of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for, a bunch of the podcasters, who have things going on. But between all of us, my channel is Elisa V on Rumble, so I'll be running that for the 24 hours. So I guess the call to action is really tune in, if you can, share the links so that we could really get this around and get people more aware, because, we're slightly in an echo chamber with everybody who's on the same page, but it's nice to be able to send something to those people who are still not aware. I mean, I go as a life and divorce coach. I'm always going to different networking groups with other professionals and different people. And I can tell you, they've never even heard of Rumble. They're like, what's Rumble? So if they don't know Rumble, they don't know Telegram, they're not really getting the kind of information that we take for granted knowing, and that we keep going down different rabbit holes to get more and more aware and more awake. So I think with a documentary like this, on a subject that's so vital and so important, but it's not necessarily what I would call controversial. Nobody's going to necessarily be upset being told that we're trying to end censorship. It's
There's a couple of people on there.
Well, I'm talking about within our group, like
right.
within,
I know.
Most of us, they just don't know the extent. They don't know the extent.
I'm just having a little fun.
Yeah.
A little inside baseball, inside joke that, but anyway, yeah, it's when Mel approached me about doing it, I was like, okay. So I did it, and he's like, oh, that's great. And when I look back on it, and then I see everybody else, and everybody's like super like upbeat, and because I'm kind of an upbeat guy too. I'm not like I was like almost like robotic. And I'm like, I wish I could have re-recorded what I said, but whatever. It's too late now. It is what it is.
I wouldn't say you were robotic. I mean, you probably see, know yourself obviously better, but you sound reflective.
Measured.
You sound reflective, like you're talking about something that is difficult. Like it's a difficult situation out there for a lot of people. And I think you sound very reflective on it.
Well, I'm a very reflective guy.
Yeah.
I really am. It's funny. I'm one of those guys that loves to think outside the box, and I kind of get a little bit of, I don't know. I get a little pushback from friends or people who don't think outside the box.
Yeah.
You and I are similar from the standpoint that we are outside the box thinkers. And and so that's one of the reasons why I appreciate you so much, is because we are outside the box thinkers.
Yeah.
So
and I think you probably have, the people that are watching this show right now that follow you, they're that way too. Like we sort of have all found, I think we could probably agree that over the last decade, 5 years, 4 years, whatever length of time people have started waking up, we've all sort of found a lot of our soul family, because we have friends and family, blood family that we feel so alienated from, or they just don't get us, or we just can't have these kind of conversations with, because like you said, they're out of the box ideas and thoughts and propositions. And I think we've all come together, like we didn't know each other very long, but there was a connection.
Your partner in crime is suggesting that we play the podcasters.
Oh yeah. I think somebody even on here, one of your followers said that they remember seeing it on the forecast earlier. So great.
Oh, nice.
Great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's play this.
I just been a kid by the side of the road, watching the world. Well, it's all just a show. Those we looked up to are not who they seem. They flash their symbols in a horrible scheme. We've been lied to about so many things. The television seeps poison as the mockingbird sings. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom now. We just want our freedom now. Scripts of the movies show part of the plots. Under the surface lies plenty of rot. Many actors play a devious role. Made a deal with the devil under mind control. The leaders are blackmailed. They sold us out. Eyes and souls as black as coal to gain their clout. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom now. We just want our freedom now. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom. We just want our freedom now. We just want our freedom now. No longer slaves in this human race. Explore the stars and travel space. The history we learned isn't even real. It's been rewritten as part of the deal. We've lived in a psyop, our DNA dumbed down. The world's been run by the cabal of clowns. They want us divided and uninformed. Our morality gone as part of the norm. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now. We just want freedom now. We just want freedom. We just want freedom. We just want freedom now. We just want freedom now. To raise your mind and join the fight. Unveil the truth from darkness to light. Where we go one. Where we go one. We go all. We go all. where we go on.
Well, let's because we're pressed for time, so that was cool. That
Yeah,
was
it's
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah, that was
Sorry,
really outdid.
I accidentally hit I hit the wrong button.
That's okay. She really outdid herself on that one. And I wanted to just tell you something else. So yesterday at the Staying Alive center that that Mel and Amber own, they had a screening yesterday, and it was amazing. He said people were really blown away. So they have about I'm going to guess like maybe 20 or so testimonials that they got. I'm not sure exactly of the number, but we're going to be they're editing that while we speak right now to put out another video with all these testimonials, which will be really cool. So
Awesome.
yeah, really positive response. Like working on the film, of course, you think it's fantastic, right? You get, of course, there was some self-criticism you have to along the way to get it to improve and be better and be the best it can be. But, when all is said and done, we're really proud of what we put together. But it's really different when other people tell you that objectively, and they give you that positive feedback.
Okay, so Mel here, one of my loyal followers, Mel, says, "Well, I have to tone my comment down so you don't get in trouble." I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but yeah, exactly. Get it off your chest. Not gonna hurt my feelings. I promise you, I can take it. So. Yeah, I wanted to show you. Okay, so before the show started, I mean, the whole point of this is really to promote the documentary. But I kind of feel like anything we say is not really going to do it justice, and the best thing to do is just say, "Hey, um, just watch it tomorrow." So, and keep in mind that every single person that you saw in there, we don't have major parts. Essentially, what was requested from us was, hey, can you record a 30 to 45-second blurb? That's it. So any person that you saw on there, for the most part, they're going to be very, very limited. So do you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way the movie was constructed, it includes the voices of 45 different podcasters throughout. And then, of course, there's a lot of information throughout, and visuals, and there's some really cool music. I will tell you a funny thing, though. I was in charge of the public relations on this, among other things, and every time we went to a service to be able to get this out, we were rejected.
Really?
Yes. I mean, even the ones that say they're conservative leaning, like that you find, one of them, I'm not even going to mention.
Can you give me an example? Or
Yeah, like, so what you do is they have these PR services, right? Press services where you can put your press release on, and then they distribute it out to the various, whoever it is, the different channels.
like it's like the Associated Press.
Essentially, yeah, something like that, right? And so, some of them you have to pay. You have to pay a fee up front, for the service, no problem. But you literally go through like the whole process, and it can take a while. You're filling out information, you're paying, you're, putting in your press release, all this kind of stuff. And then you get to the very end and you're about to hit submit, right? And you have to click, I accept all, the terms and conditions. Yeah, of course, I accept that. And then all of a sudden the box comes up and it's like, please note, if your submission contains, and the list is so long, it's like politics, health, and food, like what else was left? I said to Mel, I was like, what else is left? They have named everything that they're going to reject it. So basically what they're saying is, if it's not something completely unuseful, and I don't mean to disparage it, but if it's just, some kind of
If
gossip
you just,
about
it's just,
a Hollywood
it's
person,
some random person talking about the weather.
yeah, then it's getting rejected. So this happened, and it was hysterical. Mel actually, I think we're probably going to do a show on this, or talk about this a little bit, but he literally was calling these people up going, why? It's a documentary, it's a movie, well, it goes against our, we're just telling you it's going to be rejected. So doing a documentary on censorship, we were censored, trying to get it out there, to the various channels that could publicize it.
I don't even have the words for it.
I know. We only had one, which I'll give kudos to, yournews.com. They accepted it, and then, we had no problem with them, but all the other ones that we did, it was like, what, I mean, I'm laughing because it was just so ridiculous in light of what with the message that we're trying to get out there. That's what made it so ridiculous. But, that's why this is just such an important project. And,
it really is an important project because, I remember everybody was on YouTube. Everybody. They were all on YouTube until they cut the cord on YouTube and Facebook and all these things right about October of, they started doing it gradually, but it was like October of 2020.
Yeah.
And you were done.
Well, I want to go even further back, because I remember being on Facebook during the 2016 election, and I got, put in jail, whatever they do on faith, put you in jail.
Yeah, okay, so there's a difference between being put in jail and losing your channel.
Absolutely, but they weren't allowing the information to be on there. In other words, this content, whatever that stupid phrase is, this content. So yes, maybe I didn't get kicked off Facebook. Okay. But same difference in the sense from the perspective of trying to share information. Now, yes, I agree with you. Around 2020 started gearing up, especially when, I remember like Twitter was the first one that I got kicked off of and banned and all this nonsense, because we were all getting pissed off about what was happening, during that election. And then, then it just kind of spiraled more and more and more, where people were actually getting their channels shut down. Content, was, and the reasons, like some of the people that I would speak to, some of like my, friends that were podcasters, they couldn't even figure out what it was that was in that content that got taken down.
It was very vague.
Yeah.
It was very vague. I've been working on several things. One is a book, several books actually, articles and whatnot. And one of the things that I really kind of started to take up was the 13th Amendment. And everybody says, oh, well, the 13th Amendment freed the slaves. Did it? The 13th Amendment says, that you basically you can't be a slave unless you're a prisoner, unless you're a convicted prisoner or convicted of a crime. If you're convicted of a crime, then you can essentially be you now can have to like work, or you can be like forced labor. And a lot of the laws and whatnot that came out of the South at the time, they were very vague. And what they did was they put white and black people together in these prisons, and they leased them out as convict labor. And basically they worked them like 12 hours, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And I mean, it was actually worse than slave conditions.
Well, look, you want to talk about the South versus the North. You have essentially in the North at that time little kids working in factories. You have women with awful conditions. I mean, we can go on
Mhm.
and on and on. So who's the slave? And I am not making an argument that, someone being owned by someone is okay. But my point
Well,
is the slaves were fed, they were taken care of. There was many of people that, were testing at that time were saying, what's they're complaining about they're talking about slavery, but look at the people in the industrialized areas of this country, living in tenements,
that was slave labor.
right?
And
I mean,
and there was a preacher in, and I'm struggling to remember his name.
yes, I know who you're talking
But
about, who went down there. He
he
was an
went down.
abolitionist.
He was an abolitionist, and he went all through the South, and he came back and he wrote a book, and he says, "I maintain my abolitionist stance, but I am no longer the rabid, call it social justice warrior, anti-fascist style social justice warrior against slavery, because now I actually understand it." And I said, I've seen people, slaves that are better cared for, better dressed,
Yeah,
better living conditions than paid servants in the North.
yeah, yeah.
So, I make the I actually I actually make the argument that the slaves would have been better off if the South had won.
I don't know about that, I don't know,
I'll
but
tell you why. I'll tell you why.
yeah,
Everybody. Okay, so because I'm this is like a real big issue for me. I'm very very into this issue. The when you look at the South wasn't fighting to keep slavery. The South wanted to have control of how it was going to end. They knew what was going on. The British had freed their slaves. It was a gradual emancipation. Many other countries in the world were freeing their slaves, all by gradual emancipation, and they knew that it was coming. In fact, there were many Southerners before the country even began that they knew that I mean they were actually voting to see if they were going to even keep slavery, and they
mhm,
didn't. So when they talked about the slaves and that them fighting for slavery, it had nothing to do with that, because if you listen to these rabid people who are just like racism, 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 black people are hated everywhere, and it's all about controlling. Not the way it was.
right.
What it really was is that it was that um they didn't want to release all these people all at one time. I mean,
Well,
it would be like releasing 5-year-olds at okay, it was the 3/5 clause, right?
yeah.
Okay, why?
What do you mean why?
Why did they use the 3/5 clause?
That I don't know. What?
The
Tell me.
3/5 clause was that's how they counted the slaves as people for representation purposes.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason that they did it that way is because that way they kept the balance of representation in the slave states and the North states was equal.
Okay.
So and prior to what they call the Civil War, if a new state wanted to come in, they had to have that you had to have a free state and a slave state come in at the same time.
Okay.
And if you owned slaves, the slaves were counted as 3/5 of a person, but not because they considered the slaves 3/5 of a person, but because that was how it balanced out the power in the House of Representatives.
Well, I have two comments to make, and I know we're getting really close here.
Yep.
But first of all, when it comes to the war, okay, the Civil War, I believe that the slave issue was really the one because that's an emotional issue. But we know that it was a lot based on financial, and the fact that the debt had come due again, and we had the North
No.
The South didn't want to be. Well, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of what was going
No, no,
on.
no, 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 no. I'm no. I think there's a misunderstanding there, because what they were doing is they were taking money from the southern. They were using the tariff money from the South that was coming, because the southern ports were the ones that were shipping out all the cotton all over to Europe and everything. Cotton was the oil of the day. There was no oil in Saudi Arabia. It's not like the main import export was cotton. And what happened was the South was shipping the cotton out, and all of the imports and everything that were coming into the southern ports. Well, the tariff of abomination was essentially 40%. So they were charging 40% tariffs on the goods that were coming into the southern ports, and all of that money that was coming in, because that's how the government was funding. That's like what Trump was talking about now in terms of what he wants to do.
Yes.
It was the tariffs was
That's true. But what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say is that every 70 years or so, I'm not sure if it's the exact number, the debt comes due. The debt that we incurred during the Revolutionary War.
We paid the debt off.
No,
That's
we
the
didn't.
whole that no Andrew Jackson paid the debt off. That was why he was shot at.
Well,
He paid the debt off, and the United States was debt free by the Civil War.
Well, we know that all these wars are bankers' wars, right? So at the end of the day, I still think that the slavery was the issue that would get people ignited to once again take a side, be mad, and fight, because war is always profitable and all the other things. But the other thing I wanted to say to you about that is that, think about it. Slaves at that time were owned, right? So if you free the slaves, right, what happens? Now you have people that aren't being housed. They have to now pay taxes. Like, once again, they said we
They
can
didn't
now
have to pay taxes. There were no taxes.
No, what I'm trying to say is that you are not the way that this whole system is that you have people into the system now, and eventually, don't tell me in the 1800s they weren't already starting to think about, right, because they planned very far ahead what was going to be going forward into the beginning of the 1900s with income taxes and the Federal Reserve and all of that. So Lincoln
actually imposed the first national income tax during the Civil War to pay for the war.
Right. But that was not supposed to be that wasn't a private banking situation
That's right. That's correct. You are correct.
Right.
This is a topic that we could really go on for a long time, and I'm very knowledgeable about this. So I'm not suggesting that you're not, but yeah, you need to come back so that we can like have just a 2-hour session where we just go.
I would love that. Yeah, we just go at all these subjects.
Yeah. So
I would love it.
I know you're busy, and Carol's like freaking beating this down in the chat. Get off. So
I know, and I'm trying to see if there's anything else I was supposed to mention here, because just want to let everybody know that the Dear Mr. President is being translated right now, initially into 4 languages. It's going to be in Russian, Italian, Chinese, and Spanish. So I don't know when it's going to be available, but we are really looking to make this go viral internationally. Oh, I see you got your little buddy there. Look at him. He's gorgeous. Oh. Yeah. How old is he now?
He's like 12 weeks. Buddy.
Aw.
Yeah, he's one that I'm trying to sell. He's my most expensive one.
He's so cute.
So yeah, he's gorgeous, and he's got a great personality. They all do, actually, but he's my most beautiful.
How do you? I know it's like you could just keep keeping them, but once I get attached to them, I could never let them go.
Oh, it's hard. I look at him and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get rid of you, and I don't want to.
I would end up having like 12.
I have 12.
I only have 2. I have 2 cats and a dog, and that's enough right now.
Yeah, but I have 12 cats in my house right now. Oh my God, it's nuts. Yes, it is crazy. So, but in my defense, they are. It's because I had litters of kittens, and I'm trying to find homes for them. So that's a come here, come here. You want to
Well,
get down?
they're probably very happy and well taken care of.
Oh, I spoil the shit out of them.
I'm sure.
I love them to death.
Aw.
But it's difficult. I try not to spoil them too much because like you said, I don't want to get attached to them. But it's
hard.
hard not to look into their eyes, and then they come up and they start curling up next to you and are purring, and it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, your heart melts.
I
So,
know.
but anyway, you need to come back, girl, because there's a lot of stuff that we gotta
Absolutely.
we gotta go through, and
You
yeah.
let me know this week. We're almost, we're almost over the hump here because still got Carol and I still have work to do this evening. But I would love to. I would love to and just get into some of these other topics. But thank you so much, and thank you for letting your audience know that the live streaming is starting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Well, I don't have very much of my audience today. It's funny whenever I have ghosts, it's like I get 200, 300, 400, and but it is what it is.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it's probably my own fault because I haven't been as consistent as I want. But I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been working on books, and I've been working on articles and things like that. And man, that takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
So, and I have to give a shout out to Real Special Ed. He's in the chat. He actually helped me, or he helped me do like one of the edits on my on my manuscript. So thank you there, Short Bus, Real Special Ed, Short Bus. So anyway, but that said, I'll let you get to your day. Thank you
so much.
Good to see you in the chat, Maureen, and look forward to we'll be in touch, and let's do something next week. I'd love
All right,
to.
that sounds great.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Ron. Thank
All
you,
right,
everybody.
thank you. All right.